Which Magic the Gathering card has the most text? Magic is a famously complicated game, but as the saying goes, reading the card explains the card. But some cards are incredibly long or complicated. Today we are going to be finding out what the longest Magic cards are. But before we get into it, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. But what exactly makes a card long? This is essentially a two-part question. The first part is which parts of the card are we counting? And the second part is how are we measuring those parts? So let's start with how we are measuring those parts. There are two different ways we can measure those parts, either with characters or with words. Characters will count every letter, symbol, and space, whereas words will count, well, every word. I'm going to be using characters because it helps with non-words. So we can use symbols, numbers, power and toughness can be calculated in, mana cost can be calculated in if we count each mana symbol as one character. It just makes things work much more smoothly. The second part of the question is what parts of the card are we going to measure? Card name, oracle text, flavor text, reminder text, power and toughness, mana cost, anything else? What exactly are we going to be measuring? First, let's go through some of these categories and name some of the longest cards. For name length, we have Okina, Temple to the Grandfathers, which is 33 characters in first place, and Circle of Protection Artifacts, which is 31 characters in second place. Now, these are incredibly long, but now is a good time to explain what an unset is. Unsets are Magic sets which are not legal to play in most formats, and the cards within are crazy and fun. This results in insane cards which hold almost every single record in the longest cards. So we are going to be having separate categories for both uncards and legal cards in order to differentiate them. But with that said, the longest card name in an unset is... Our market research shows that players like really long card names, so we made this card to be the longest card name ever elemental. At a hefty 142 characters, this thing is massive, and it wraps around the entire board. In the future, I will refer to this as card name elemental. Also, second place is the ultimate nightmare of Wizards of the Coast customer servers at 65 characters. The next category is the typeline. The typeline is the line below the art that contains a card's, well, type. The record for legal cards is Brakos, Apex of Forever. It is a legendary creature Nightmare Beast Elemental, which is 46 characters. In second place, we have Neheb and Meng Huao, which are both tied at 44 characters. As for uncards, we have Big Furry Monster, which is 76 characters if we count both parts. The real winner in this category, though, is Changeling. Anything with Changeling will have all 252 creature types. To clarify, Changeling is a keyword that gives the creature all creature types. 252 creature types adds up to be 1,593 characters, which is just insane and incredibly easy to get. If we use Mort of the Frost, which is the longest card type on a card with Changeling, then we have an incredible 1,616 characters. Another notable card is Infinity Elemental. Its art makes it look kind of like it has infinite length, but sadly, when you zoom in, you can see that it doesn't go on forever. It only repeats itself 8 times, so there's 8 frames, and 8 times the 20 characters of Creature Elemental is 160 characters. Whether or not this counts is pretty subjective, but if it does, then it is a record. The next category is CMC length. I counted one mana symbol as one character. The longest CMC is Progenitus with 10 characters, or 10 symbols. It is white, white, blue, blue, black, black, red, red, green, green. Also, Big Furry Monster, again, is an uncard, and it has 15 mana symbols in its cost. So the next part is the big one, oracle text. This is the text in the text box. We are going to be including reminder text and rules text, but not flavor text. We will touch on that later. This can be different from what was originally printed on the card due to erratas. The top 4 are 1. Bureaucracy at 768 characters, 2. Nissa Voice of Zendikar at 748 characters, 3. Greater Morphling at 667 characters, and 4 Dance of the Dead at 650 characters. Nissa, Voice of Zendikar, is a flip card, and both sides are counted in this calculation, so only partial credit there. Now, these cards already look insane with how cramped their text is, but in order to demonstrate just how insane they are, this is what they would look like with normal text size. Bureaucracy is 17.3 centimeters, whereas Dance of the Dead, 17.5 centimeters. Greater Morphling is only 14 centimeters because it has a different form factor. For reference, a normal card is 8.9 centimeters. Next is if we include flavor text in our total. So that brings in Infinity Elemental. So this is Infinity Elemental. It reads, "This creature has infinite power." It then repeats, "It's so infinite that its flavor text says 10 or infinite times, depending on who you ask." The argument for 10 times is that is the number of times that it repeats on the card. The argument for infinite is what the flavor text says. There's some implication that it repeats forever. I polled some people and asked their opinion on whether it was infinite or not, and I had some varied responses. 5 people said yes, and 5 people said no. So opinions are split. I personally think it would just be kind of disappointing if I did mark this as the longest card, so I'll just give it an honorable mention. Also, if it's 10, it's 483 characters, and if it's infinite, well, it's infinite characters. Before we get to the longest cards, if we add up everything, please subscribe. So now we have to find the longest cards overall. This includes card name, oracle text, flavor text, reminder text, power and toughness, typeline, and mana cost. So the reason I included these parameters and not others, like say, for example, the artist name, is because these would be the minimum portions of a card you would read to understand its function. So with these parameters, for an uncard, we have bureaucracy with 794 characters. For a legal card, we have Dance of the Dead with an amazing 688 characters. Infinity Elemental is debatably infinite, so that gets a mention here. Nissa, Vastwood Seer, is 748 characters, so this is the longest legal card. But it is a flip card, so partial credit. And the final one is Base Race. It comes in at an unheard of 1,740 characters. An absolute annihilation of past record. But it's not really a card. This is a Magic instruction card for a minigame. It's not legal to play, and it's a flip card. So whether this counts or not is up to you, but I personally do not count it. The final thing I want to touch on is wordy. Wordy is an unset keyword that reads, "A spell is wordy if it has 4 or more lines of rules text." So we are going to be measuring these cards by the amount of lines of rules text that they have. Alexander Clamilton is an example of a card that cares about wordy. It's 2 and a blue for a legendary creature, Clamfolk Advisor Rebel, 0/4. Whenever you cast a wordy spell, scry 2. And it has 1 red tap. Choose target creature you don't control. Reveal the top card of your library. Alexander Clamilton gets +X+O until end of turn, where X is the number of lines of rules text of the revealed card. Alexander Clamilton fights that creature. So which card would give Alexander Clamilton the largest pump possible? This does not include reminder text and flavor text. So the winner here is Greater Morphling. It has an extended text box and 17 lines. But if you thought it was crazy then, it gets even better. This is the wonderful world of adding text. We are now going to be modifying what is on the card. There are many effects in Magic that add text, and one good example is with Mutate. If you do not know, mutate is a keyword that reads, if you cast this spell for its mutate cost, put it over or under target non-human creature you control. They mutate into the creature on top plus all abilities from under it. Adding abilities adds text, and that's what we want to do. There are a total of 34 cards with mutate. So what if we added them all to the creature card with the longest text, Master of the Hunt? This gives us an amazing total of 5,249 characters. This is what it looks like. This is 50 centimeters. This is a normal card, and this is our card. The next way to add text is with cards that, well, add text. They will say something like, creatures you control have, and then put something in quotes like, tap, add 1 mana of any color. And then your creatures will have that text. I put together a Scryfall search and added all the applicable text to my creature. I decided to use Sliver Queen because there were a lot of abilities that only work on slivers. Of these cards I could find, this is a total of 4,375 characters. This is what it would look like with Sliver Queen. 28 centimeters. This is a normal card, this is Sliver Queen. Absolutely huge. So if we add the two together, we get 8,966 characters. Absolutely huge. So close to 10,000. So if we then give this creature changeling, after we mutate everything onto it, we then gain 1,593 characters, putting it over the 10,000 mark. This is what it would look like. 83 centimeters. This thing probably doesn't even fit in the frame. This is a normal card, and this is our monstrosity. So there are many more ways to add text, but suffice it to say you can get over 10,000 characters this way. Before we get into the next part, please subscribe. We can also add an infinite amount of text with an infinite combo. If we read Spiteful Sliver, it says, Sliver creatures you control have, whenever this creature is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to target player or planeswalker. So if we have 2 of these, then our slivers will have that text twice. And if we make an infinite amount of copies of that sliver, then all of our slivers will have an infinite amount of text. So the best combo I could come up with to make infinite clones is Peregrine Drake, Riku, and Deadeye Navigator. And of course you need the Spiteful Sliver. So you play Peregrine Drake and Deadeye Navigator. You flicker Peregrine Drake over and over again to make infinite mana. You then play Spiteful Sliver and pair it to Deadeye. Play Riku, flicker the sliver, and on re-entry, make a Riku copy of Spiteful Sliver, and you can make an infinite number of these copies because you can flicker the Spiteful Sliver an infinite amount of times. In conclusion, throughout my research, I've seen that there is no great resource for the longest cards, and that there are some large gaps in the knowledge and information. A lot of people clearly want to know what the longest cards are. So I hope that this video can help people find this information. I don't think very many of these records will be broken because, quite honestly, it's poor card design. But I do think that it's fun to look at these monstrosities. Thanks to Wifey's, link in the description for inspiration of this video, but I adapted from Minecraft to Magic. Thank you to Isaac King for helping me run some code to find the longest cards, and everyone else that helped me with this video. I've been working on this script for months, and I must have asked dozens of people for help throughout that time. I would also like to say that this video is my new record for most time spent on a video. I don't know by how much, but I've already spent over 30 hours on the script, so please subscribe. Also, for most of these records, there were searches done for the longest cards, but some of them were not searched this way, such as the typeline records, Greater Morphling as the wordiest cards, and Base Race as the longest card, if it can be considered a card. Made it to the end of this video, you probably enjoyed it, so please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and join my Discord server. Link in the description. There is also links in the description to whatever I talked about in this video, so it should all be there. Thank you for listening, and I will see you next time.